and a very warm welcome to our 8th edition, the eighth event of our Embracing Oneness half-day retreat since we started in 2020, I think. And the title of this month's event is No Disillusion Without, No Evolution, sorry, without disillusion. And what it really means is it's about our cycle as human beings of change that we all experience that really helps to facilitate this whole idea of oneness that we are pursuing. So my name is Nina Buchanan. I'm one of the 4 members of the Oneness planning team. And we have specifically created this October event as our contribution in honoring the importance of Black History Month. The idea being to shift our awareness away from focusing on difference to that of oneness, because that, of course, is what we're all about. So just to give you a brief idea as to what our vision and the aim is, our vision is to hold a sacred space for meaningful dialogue, for healing individually and creatively and collectively. And within this vision, the steps we've included in our aim are to host and accommodate cultural and racial perspectives on oneness with individuals and groups who are already on their own spiritual path and who are catalysts for global harmony within their own rights. And this explains why today we have invited 2 speakers, both of whom I'm sure you will find extremely stimulating. Both Clark Peters and Dr. Amina, who will be introduced properly to you by Masana when she comes on. They will stay on throughout the rest of the program to conduct our 2 workshops, the aim of which is really to take us on an experiential journey of interactive dialogue, creative activities, storytelling, in embracing transitions as a natural part of our process of working through emotional and spiritual challenges. So to further summarize what we are doing today, following a short guided reflection, the various segments of our program will be interspersed with creative interludes to bring in an element of entertainment, a bit of excitement and fun. And we'll experience a dialogue between our 2 keynote speakers on today's topic, no evolution. There's no positive change without there being the dissolution of whatever it is that we have created that's caused us to go back and fetch what we have left behind. And they will explore concepts in order to make them meaning to us as participants, really talking about their own experiences. So this will be followed by a creative interlude and interactive reflective workshop, providing an opportunity for you to further explore the ideas introduced in the main session within your small groups, and then make even more, hopefully will make even more meaningful for you, you will find it much more practical in your own way by talking about them. So following the workshop, we will provide an opportunity in the main plenary for us to share insights and realizations with a view to bringing newness into our lives in a really practical way. So, as usual, we will end the day with a meditation commentary followed by the offering of blessing cards and announcement about our upcoming events that will be taking place in the near future. So one of our main team members, David Fletcher, is not here with us at the moment. He's traveling in Ghana. And so, of course, he's offered a recorded meditation for us to kick our program off with today. So that is the next item that will be coming up. So thank you very much. And I hope you have a wonderful experience in our event today. Thank you.
Could I just add as well, Nina, that apparently the meditation recording is on low volume. So we're inviting each of you to turn up your volume so hopefully you can get the full experience. Thank you.
Om Shanti. Before we start this program, let's get centered. Let's prepare our minds and hearts for the learning and new insights we are being offered. Begin by sitting in a comfortable and stable position where your body will be supported and relaxed. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again. And again. Put any thoughts or concerns in your mind aside. You can come back to them later. Now is the time to open space for new ideas and new thinking. Take another deep breath. Imagine you are going for a walk on a country lane in Canada on a crisp fall morning. The harvest from your garden has been done, and you are walking to appreciate the bright autumn colors. Breathe in the fresh air. Enjoy the sight of the bright yellow and orange and red leaves around you. The beauty of nature. Stop for a moment in front of a huge maple tree, clothed all in red. Look up at its magnificence and give thanks for the beauty it brings to the world. Notice a few of the red leaves are already falling from the tree and carpeting the ground at your feet. Recognize the color of the leaves will fade, and ultimately the tree will be bare, only its naked branches pointing up to the sky. If you walk this same road in the winter, it will be cold and gray, A light blanket of snow may make everything white, and there will be little color to admire. One winter day there may be an ice storm, and strong winds will blow, and branches of the tree will break, or the tree may even blow over and die. Know, as you walk this beautiful lane full of colors, that all will dissolve in the cycle of life. The leaves will decompose and become soil, and the tree, even if it falls down, will have dropped seeds that can be nurtured for new growth. Dissolution is necessary for the cycle to continue to turn. Space needs to be made on the tree so new, fresh growth can appear in the spring. In the same way, we can let certain thoughts and habits go so we can create space for new growth. As we finish our walk in the country, let's give thanks for all seasons of the cycles of life and our eternal existence. And let's return to our bodies and our seats with the knowledge that spring will always come, and the seeds of thoughts and ideas planted today can serve us well in the future. Om Shanti.
So thank you so much, David, for that very powerful, reflective meditation. And it's my pleasure and privilege to also welcome each and every one of you from around the planet to our Embracing Oneness retreat this afternoon, in the morning for some of you, depending which time zone you're in. My name is Masana D'Souza, and I am part of the core group of planning for this retreat. And it's my privilege now to introduce our two guest speakers. And first, I'd like to introduce Dr. Amina Blackwood-Meeks, who is an award-winning writer, actress, scholar, and captivating storyteller from Jamaica. And she works with storytelling as a tool for holistic development. And I've had the absolute wonderful pleasure of being friends with Amina. It goes way, way back. It must be over 40 years. And I can tell you, as an actress, storyteller, and as a wonderful person, an agent of change on the planet. So big welcome to you, Amina. And I'd also like to...
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
And I'd also like to welcome Clark Peters. Many of you may recognize him as an accomplished, multifaceted actor. So many different films that Clark features in, all of them seem to have a very strong essence of that humanitarian aspect of exposing where there is injustice and where you can create light at the end of the tunnel. And also an actor, director, and musical book writer. So he credits his spiritual faith with keeping his feet firmly on the ground, and is an active practitioner of meditation taught by us at the Brahma Kumari's World Spiritual University. So very special, warm welcome to you as well, Clark.
Thank you. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you very much, Masana.
Thank you. And just to, again, Nina has set the stage. I'm aware that some people are coming in a little later. So I'm going to highlight a couple of points before I'm going to pose a question to both Amina and Clark, and then they will have a dialogue together. Please be aware that the chat is open. So if anyone has a question or a comment that you would like to put in the chat, and then I will be sharing those with Amina and Clark so they can respond throughout the process. So we're really focusing on no evolution without disillusion. We're really going to unpack that with Amina and Clark. We're also going to explore cycles of change that facilitate oneness. So maybe start to be open to what that means to you. Because they're subject to change are our mind, our body, and our spirit. If you call yourself a spiritual being or an eternal soul that lives temporally within this body. And change is from old to new, new to old. What does that mean for you? The spiritual law of entropy means that it moves from order to chaos. It moves from the elements on planet Earth, from newness to old. And also reflect on in the silence of the cocoon of transformation. Think of the caterpillar, the chrysalis, and then the re-emerging of the butterfly. We also connect with our imaginal cells. So the cells of the caterpillar break down within the within and the cocoon, and then transform totally into a new creature, from walking with many legs on the ground to fly free. So how can I apply that within my life? So this helps us envision the beauty and purity of what each of us can be in our own unique way. So setting that stage, I'd like to ask a question that I'd like Amina to respond to first, and then Clark. So first of all, what does disillusion mean to you, Amina?
Good day, everyone. Thank you very much for this invitation and the opportunity to meet everyone online. What does dissolution mean to me? I was raised by peasants. I was raised by people who came from the country. And in Jamaica, that has a special meaning. And the meaning is not always positive. We don't think of country people as knowing anything, as being knowledgeable, as having information to share. But we're growing to understand how Jamaican country people hear words. So I hear words through the hearts and minds of my parents, who would dissect words, who would stand the colonial English language upside down and interpret it through the experience of the oppressed. So when I hear dissolution, I do not hear what I was taught to understand that word to be at a high school that taught me how to sip tea and attend tea parties. I hear the Jamaicans saying this solution. And for those of you who don't know the Jamaican language, we replace TH in our words with D. So I'm not hearing dissolution, I'm hearing this solution. And so what I'm hearing in that word, Sana, and everyone else, is that we come from a place where we do not language the negative. We come from a place where we are always seeking what is possible. In the words of Peter Tosh, There's got to be a solution to this your confusion. So I don't hear the English identification of that word. I hear the Jamaican cultural languaging of that word. We are seeking this solution, whatever this solution is. And we sometimes say, we have to solve the solution, because sometimes we find a solution that doesn't work. We don't talk about solving a problem. We talk about solving a solution. And so culturally and spiritually, that is what that word conjures up in me.
Powerful. Thank you, Amina. Really appreciate that analysis and sharing culturally how it is perceived, experienced, lived in Jamaica through the stories, many stories of our people. So Clark, over to you. What does disillusion mean to you?
First of all, thank you for having me and welcome. That was a wonderful, wonderful definition I had never considered at all. Unfortunately, I didn't have the blessing of being brought up in such a rich culture as Jamaica has to offer, and thereby changing or giving me a different lens of the world. I certainly am a product of the colonial machine, and disillusion is not dissolution. It is, it is the dissolving of something, you know, and how things need to, like season, go back to the seed, as David was talking with his analogy of a tree losing its leaves. Those leaves dissolve. They go into the earth. The shells of those seeds dissolve. And then what comes forward is a nice, beautiful little sprout of a tree or a plant, whatever was left behind. Disillusion, as far as we are concerned, and honoring the Black History Month, for me means as well dissolving some of these shackles that the colonial experience has put on us in order for us to evolve into something greater. You know, so to honor that, I feel like putting the solution in that context. For ourselves, we dissolve daily. The same cells that you came into the world with are no longer on your body. Some of the cells that you had on your skin yesterday are no longer there. They have dissolved, and here you are today. You might look the same, but I promise you, you are a completely different bit of matter that something is inhabiting. And I hope to get around to that later on. But simply put, dissolution is just the dissolving of something. Yes, I don't know what else to say on that, Ms. Anna. Was that too?
Wonderful. Thank you, Clark. This is already unfolding into a very interesting exploration. Another question I'd like to pose, Amina, and then to Clark. In order for evolution to take place, what needs to be seen and acknowledged? And what needs to be nurtured and sustained? And you can take it from any angle, from often it's helpful for the audience from a personal, as well as how you would like to look at it collectively, micro, macro. Over to you, Amina.
The first part of the question again, what needs to what?
What does it mean to you? Sorry, in order for evolution to take place, whatever that means for you, what needs to be seen and acknowledged before it can take place?
You're provoking me.
You're
provoking me by Jamaican-ness. Because the way you said evolution, the first two syllables is evil. And therefore, what we need to recognize is that thing or those things, or that reservoir of things which do not or does not serve my better good. The challenge is, if I have been brought up with evilness around me, I do not know that there is another way. I cannot know that there is another way. I have no way of exploring what I do not know. So, for example, we're coming to the end of the month in which we celebrate our heritage in Jamaica. And recently I was asked, are there things that we need to leave behind? And I said, yes, and I will give examples of those things, but I could only say yes because I have been allowed to experience other ways. And I said yes to many of our folk songs. I said, we need to leave the folk songs behind that classify women as heavy loads. We need to, and one day I will sing one of them for you, woman a heavy load, woman a heavy load. We need to leave the folk songs behind that say that women were always dependent on men to bring money home. Why woman grumble so? Want more money? And that might be easy for you to hear. Why is the woman grumbling? Because she wants more money. But that has never been our experience in Jamaica. Our grandmothers always get up and put on their water boots and go to the fields with our grandfathers to work. It's our grandmothers who sit on the market trucks on top of when the truck had been packed and all the food was there and the tarpaulin had covered the food. It's our grandmothers who climbed on top of that food and then put a blanket over herself and traveled treacherous journey into Kingston to come to the market, to sell, to take the money home for her family. So this business about the way gender equity and equality is understood and interpreted elsewhere is not ours, but we took it on wholesale. And so now we have to say to ourselves, is that me? And should I not leave it behind? But something has to bring me to a point where I say, is that me? And should I not leave it behind? Because it is also Black History Month, there are other folk songs about Black people, which are denigrating, such as lip favor liba and she want lipstick. If I were to translate this, it's talking about how thick our lips are. It looks like liver, you know, the liver from the cow that we eat. Her lips resemble liver, but she wants to wear lipstick. First of all, why should she not want to wear lipstick? Whatever is the condition of her body, whatever. Why should she be body shamed? But why is it that Black women's lips on Black women are unattractive, but when white women use Botox to have their lips look like ours, then their lips are sexy and flattering? I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding. So we need to leave the othering behind. That's difficult if I have been raised to accept the other's view of myself. And therefore, the next part of the question, how do I nurture me, is also difficult, because the othering of me is hundreds of years old, perhaps thousands of years old. And me, the collective me, is not represented on TikTok, is not represented on Google, and perhaps will even be less represented now that Google has gone the way and Twitter has gone the way of saying what matters is how much money you have, when so much of us do not compute our value in mathematical terms.
Preach, girl, preach.
Over to you, Clark.
Woo! I'm not too sure I want to speak as much as I just wanted to absorb what the sister has said. That was just Ah, beautiful, beautiful. I will pick up on one point that Amina offered, was that you can't evolve if you don't know where you are. If you don't know who you are in respect or in relationship to the whole. If you have no idea, you cannot evolve, number one. Number two, you have to have some idea of what you want to evolve into. That requires an individual to sit back with themselves or collectively, as we are hopefully doing here today, and come to a destination, a decision of where you want to be. Once this thing is dissolved and you're building it up again, where do you want to go with this? And what I wrote down, I'm gonna read something here that I put down in response to that. And I started out speaking with, I assume we are speaking about sentient beings before we continue this whole dialogue, because evolution happens in all sorts of ways. But speaking of just the sentient being, we have to have an awareness of where we are in this field, nature, spirit, and where we are placed in this relation to the whole world, to see where you are, to dissolve what you do not need, to get rid of what you do not need, that luggage that you're carrying with you, the idea of that has been foisted on us of where we are in this sexual world. You know, it has been foisted on us. And as Amina says, you don't know if you've been here 1 year, 2 years, 1,000 years. I like the 1,000 years one. I like that the most, because if this sentient being in this matter that is constantly changing has been here all this time, isn't it possible that maybe one time you walked around with a vagina and breasts? Isn't it possible that one time, coming through these thousands of years, you held that baby inside of you? I'm speaking to the men, Isn't it says for the women, isn't it at some point in time that you as well have given birth or carried that child and that woman yourself, So in the large picture, where we are is the point from where we start our evolution. And if it's 1,000 years, we have a lot of material to draw on to tell us who we are, what we are, and where we can be going today. Everything is breaking down in the Western world. Everything is breaking down here in the Western world. Here in Europe, we're talking about no cash, a cashless society. I'm laughing because just 3 months ago, it was announced that Uganda found like 400 million tons of gold. Where are we going to go with that? So just in the Western world, as things are changing, and the Western world doesn't know where it is economically, where they don't know where they are racially, where they don't know where they are sexually. He, she, it, them. I'm looking at my emails, and there's a man I've known for I don't know how long, and he's got to define himself as a he and a him. Where have we gotten to? Where have we gotten to? Something really needs to be dissolved. Something really needs to change in this paradigm. So your question was, what needs to be seen and acknowledged? We need to acknowledge that, first of all, something needs to change. what needs to be seen is where we are placed in this world and what we want to change into. And then we've got to do it. And I guess that might take you to your next question, Masana. I'm not too sure.
Thank you so much, Clark. I'm wondering, Amina, is there anything that you would like to respond to Clark before I go on to another question?
Things that touch me. What have we learned from the length of time that we have been on this journey? And are we waking up to find that we have become dumber versions of our original selves? If we don't know who we are, if we don't know, I am so moved by the example of how we identify ourselves in terms of gender, and that we give the audience an opportunity to make a choice of how to refer to me. Am I she? Am I her? Am I whatever I am? So I don't declare this is who I am, but I say, I'm really saying these are the options you have when you refer to me. So I have become an option rather than something definitive. And then Clark, when you spoke about the instability in the Western world, thank you so much for that reminder that the Western world doesn't know where it stands in the various alleys that you identified economically, racially, and so on. I'm a political scientist. That's part of my training. And so what came to mind is where in the world all Indians are now in prominent positions and are rising, and the extent to which that reflects anything in the countries in which they are in prominent positions, but more so the extent to which that frightens the Western world. Because when the underdog becomes top dog, then there is something scary for some people. And then I also wonder the extent to which our becoming dumber versions of ourselves, original selves, threatens our stability, One of the pillars on which one of my favorite African philosophers rose to fame and rose in my heart, Patrice Malido Masome, is that he used Burkina Faso as the example of stability for water and healing. He used that. And then what's happening to Burkina Faso? You know, and why is that happening? And is it that sometimes we chat too much, and instead of enjoying what we have, we go and tell other people that we have it, and they decide that you shall not have it, and therefore here I come to disturb you. Uganda chat too much to say how much gold it has so that now others might want it. This is not wild speculation. We know what all the so-called wars and civil wars in Africa are about. They're about gold and diamond and cobalt, and how the techno industry survives by having us war against ourselves so that they can come in and have it. So when we declare what we have, do we invite instability? When we play on their terms, what's the value of gold? What's the power of gold? History tells us how the Bears came to be so wonderful. They found this little stone in the earth, didn't know what to do with it, and declared that you can't be properly married unless you're wearing a diamond. And we take it on. And we're taking on all of this baggage about the value of gold. And now we have it. And we are in praise of the king of Mali, whose name slips me now, who caused the Egyptian economy. Say that?
Mansa Musa.
That's right, Mansa Musa, who caused the Egyptian economy to crumble because he had so much gold. Is that a value to be embraced? Is that something to be proud of? You know, so we have all of these contradictions within ourselves that invite instability, that we need to have the courage to say, I have been valorizing the wrong thing and I need to leave that behind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So picking up from that, Amina, and going to Clark next, let's explore around values and virtues. What is it? Because both of you have been highlighting in different ways what's happening out there on the planet and the world, what's happening within our minds where we have been lied to, and so much is now being unearthed that is exploring what is the eternal truth vis-a-vis the manipulation, exploitation. So let's spend a moment on looking at what are true values, true virtues that can support me internally as I navigate this very treacherous path that the world is at this moment. Clark, over to you.
I think that very interesting question. There's, I think that the individual has got to spend time with themselves, exercising their intellect in relation to the world to find what is important inside of them. This is not something that could be mandated by a government. This is down to individuals taking the responsibility to sit in silence and reflect and find what happens inside of you that feels right. Sometimes, you know, in your head, it sounds like it's right, but your heart goes, I'm not too sure about that. So connecting those two as well is a journey. As far as those virtues go, we say that love is a virtue. Well, how do you know? How do we know? What do we know what love is? You know, we hear it in songs, we hear it in lyrics, but to experience that, you got to want to do this. You've got to want to understand what these virtues are. You have to want it deeply inside of yourself. And it's only then that they will begin to unfold. It'll begin to reveal itself to you. All of these virtues, the exercise of patience, you know, have children. If you have children, you'll figure out what patience is, and you'll understand that it is a tool. And it's a tool. It's a tool. Like meditation is a tool. This is not just your life, these are tools. So fill your tool bag with these things. Mine with these tools to find out what that love is, you know, what that patience is, you know, find out. I think I'm answering your question, Masana. This takes me on to something. You know, it takes me somewhere else, because we're told how powerful these virtues are. And I think that if they are really as powerful as we're explained or told that they are, that it will not take millions and millions and millions of people to change this world, but just a few individuals who are focused, who have got the right energy on the right path and are able to do what is right. And through that example, others will maybe be influenced, will follow, will find it inside themselves. But we're in a world where this false news, this age of post-truth, has completely put blinkers on the kids, on the children, and for some of us adults as well, you know, because it's convenient to go along with he, she, it, them. You know, I have, you know, so I think it's mining your heart, mining your soul, mining your consciousness, whatever it is that you feel as an individual that vivifies the matter that you are in. Get to know that. Get to know that. And I think that because it's making me animated, there's something wonderful about that. There's something magnificent about, there's something awesome in the true sense of awesome, not like that California awesome kind of awesome, but in the true sense of it. And I think there is the answer to finding those virtues and how to use them in the world. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Clark. And I love this mining the heart and the mind and really searching for what is true for self and bringing out that magnificence, that beauty, the inner beauty that is within each and every one of us. So over to you, Amina. Briefly, what values, virtues do you cherish within yourself that you bring out into the world, at first for yourself?
I got the message briefly. Yeah. Thank you so much, Clark, for using that beautiful phrase of mining. Nasana, when you forget how long you've known me, just think that my son is 46 years old and you knew me just before he was born. And there is a reason I'm putting this in now, because you know me. You know my economic circumstances. You know the circumstances of my parents who raised me, to whom I am going back at this point in time. So my mother didn't finish primary school, neither did my father, but they were certain about the value of education. And they worked hard so we could be exposed to the best education. I spoke earlier about going to a school that taught me to enjoy tea parties. So they worked hard to send us to the best schools, to be able to access the best that there was and continues to be to access. But they always brought us back to the simple things. And here I want to quote from a poem by the late, great Jean Binterbreeze, a dub poet. The simple things in life, my dear, the simple things in life. Because my mother, who wanted us to be the best and have the best, overheard me when I was still an undergraduate, discussing with a friend of mine how children do better when they are in homes that have libraries and books and computers. And my mother interrupted to say, and where was your library and your computer in your house, my dear? Because we didn't have any. So that was my mother's way of saying to me, you're chatting foolishness. But in addition to say you're chatting foolishness and you're chatting what somebody else has told you, she was bringing me back to the power of self. That there is so much you can accomplish by going inside. There is so much you can accomplish if we believe Bonnie Whaler when he says, we are reincarnated souls from that time, living on earth, heat, air, and water in a this time. You mean to say I couldn't accomplish anything if I didn't have the trappings of the computer? So always the simple things in life, my dear, the simple things in life. And I myself have gone around the complicated and the complex. And I always come back to the simple things in life, my dear, how you treat other people. So when people say, for example, such a person can walk with kings and paupers. And I say, what's the difference between the king and the pauper? The king is a pauper who have enough money. And the pauper is a king who just don't happen to have money. The simple things in life, my dear. The simple things in life. That's my brief response to you, my son.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love all of this. Now it's an opportunity for each of you to pose a question to all of our participants so that the participants can put in the chat whatever moves you, touches you, or how you would like to respond, or it might be a question you want to throw back to Amina or Clark. So please use the chat. So I don't know which one of you, Amina, Clark, would like to throw out a question to the participants.
I always defer to my sisters.
And I always defer to the participants. We've been chatting, and part of and I think that part of the objectives of this theme about oneness is that we all have a voice, and we're encouraged to use it if we are to accomplish oneness. So I'd like to hear the voices of the participants, please, and thank you.
Okay. Anyone can put their hand up and unmute, or you can put in the chat. Anyone has a question or a comment or whatever you feel moved to say or write in the chat. We'll give them a few moments if they're going to chat. Otherwise, put your hand up. I'm looking.
I can't seem to get everybody in the
No, it's two screens. It's two screens, Clark.
Oh, I see. I see.
So in interest of time, because there will also be the dialogue in the smaller groups with one of you, maybe, Clark, do you have a question you'd like to throw out to the participants that they might like?
Yes. My question would be, if you were to dissolve yourself from your extremities to the center of yourself, what would you feel once you reach the center? And how does that feel? I'll repeat that. If you were to dissolve yourself from your extremities to the center, how would that feel? Once at the center, what could you do? And how does that feel? Does that make sense?
It's a powerful question with complexity within it. However, let's see what the response is like. Anyone like to express through speaking? You can put your hand up, or please put on the chat something, because we really would like this to be interactive.
May I say something, Sana?
Yes, of course, Amina.
Clark, maybe that question could be, would you like to dissolve yourself?
Would you? Yes.
Because we assume that we would like to, and maybe we wouldn't.
Yes.
Maybe it is so terrifying, I don't want to face it.
Yes, especially especially as I'm talking about moving from your extremities to your center. That is powerful. Yes.
Wonderful. Zara has put, I would have to dissolve myself and feel it's very necessary. So it's like motivation. I need to be first aware of what I'd like to dissolve. Yes. Thank you for that, Zara. Another question, anyone else like to respond? Or Amina, would you like to throw out a question to our participants?
Yes, what solution would you use? Would you like to be dissolved into? Not solution as in the answer to something, but solution, the liquid. If I and the earth are one, what solution am I becoming one with?
Wow. Wow. Love that. Come on, whatever comes first in your thoughts, what's alive, pops up from your heart, feel free to share. This is a very
Can you hear me now?
safe environment. Yes, Dave, please go ahead.
Okay. Firstly, I got to say, what a wonderful discussion, a beautiful topic, and very on point for what's happening in the world today. Now, to the question, for me, I think going back to the source is what I would call dissolving the self, because oftentimes I find in life we have to engage various people, we have to follow certain protocols, and we don't necessarily feel comfortable. But I've found over the years, when I go within, when I dissolve a lot of my external thoughts, interactions, I find it relieves me of a weight. I feel light, you know. I feel, oh, I don't have to worry about that. Why should I be concerned about what other people think of me? Why should I even care what I think about other people? I shouldn't even have those thoughts. So for me, it's all about getting back to the core, to the essence. You know, it's almost like, as you say, introverting, going within. A lot of the stuff outside, it's not really that important. It really isn't. So I think that's my take on it, Clark.
Yeah, beautiful, Dave. Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you so much, Dave. There's some more coming in on the chat I'm going to read out. And Zara had also said, when I reach to my center top, feel authentic, and life would be much more enjoyable. So I guess the essence there is the more I'm authentic, true to self, then I can really feel I'm in my essence. Liz says, peace and love, flowing is my solution of choice. So being in the flow, I love that. And Helena, response to first question, I would love to reduce to that very essence of myself. And I feel that this is being expressed by both Amina and Clark. They are so alive with the essence of life, beyond all the diversive differences of our extremities. This is wonderful to listen to. Wow.
I like that. I like that. Your take on that. I'm really loving the way that Jamaicans are looking at these words, you know, and breaking them down. Extremities, extremities. When you look at it like that, the differences of our extremities. You know, I'm so used to saying extremities, you know. So you don't really, you don't really get the word. But as Amina was saying earlier, words, look at the words, really listen to them. Because there, in the essence of that, is where the deeper communication to yourself is. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
I think Amina, you'll probably understand what I'm saying here. A Jamaican saying, seeing blind, hearing deaf. Yeah. Now, essentially what that means is there may be something happening outside of you, hullabaloo, but yeah, it's there, but don't see it. Don't be affected by it, you know. And people may gossip or say things, but don't acknowledge it. Be aware of it, but don't acknowledge it. So therefore you won't be affected. And in that way, you can go back into your core, your essence, and you can move away from the extremities and just dissolve all of that. So I find a lot of Jamaican sayings, they have such richness, such depth, and such profundity. Very simple sayings, and they're very, very deep.
If I could just add the other two lines, Dave, and for everyone: see and blind, hear and deaf, left one or trouble you, mind your own business, keep you out of trouble. And I think those other two lines are as critical, because it is not just saying be selfish and not be concerned with other things and other people. It is also saying don't meddle and don't project your own shortcomings onto other people. Keep yourself out of trouble, because sometimes the evilness from which we ought to dissolve or ought to want to dissolve stems from the way in which we project our own shortcomings, anxieties, extremities onto others who might not be experiencing those same things in the same way. So yes, that's very important. But the entire, can we call that a poem then? We're also poetic. The entire poem needs to be taken into consideration. Otherwise, we become selfish beings, and that might not be a value that we want to recommend or take forward.
So as the time is moving on with this, as Audrey says, flowing in the beautiful energy would be my choice. This is an amazing discussion. So lots of that positive feedback. Can I give a half a minute for Amina to wrap up the essence of what you would like to say at this moment, and Clark for yourself? Thank you.
Yes, I would like to say that we certainly don't want to leave our participants or ourselves with the notion that this is easy, that it is something that you accomplish one time and it's done. It's what Clark said about the cells changing every day. It's something we are constantly working on. And it is something we constantly challenge. I challenge myself every day. Is this really achievable when all around me, everything else seems to be falling apart? Is it easy to accept the possibility of oneness when the realities of our daily lives sometimes scream the opposite? Children missing, Black lives still matter, not yet mattering, not having economic equity and equality, and so on and so forth. How do we keep going in spite of what appears to be a difficulty of achieving what we have conceptualized? That's what I want to say. It's not easy, but we keep working at it.
Powerful. Thank you, Amina. Clark?
I'd like to pick up on that point, is that if we understand time, or if we understand eternity, if we consider, that we've been here many times, going back to the essence of that, we realize that once we focus on what we want to evolve into, the work is there. The work is there. Sometimes you find that things, when you're thinking right, they just fall into place. And we wind up saying, wow, that's a coincidence. Did you see what just happened then? In my experience, it's not a coincidence. It's because you're on the right track and you're doing what is correct, and that the energy falls in place and works in harmony with you. And that the world that we have here now, the paradigm we're living in, is one that distracts us from that. Whether it's the inequities in your economy, whether it's you wanting to keep up with the Joneses, whether it's something that you had something that was really tasted nice, I'd had something that tasted terrible. Whatever the differences that the world throws at us, it's getting back to that truth seems to be what pulls us through and what allows the world that we inhabit to function in harmony with us. You have to have the desire. You have to have the intention. You've got to be conscious of having the desire and having the intention. You've got to articulate the desire. And when that is happening, then things begin to really fall into place for you. I mean, that these sisters should invite me to be part of this, I think I can't tell you how serendipitous it is. And there I go saying serendipity. No, I was churning on this in my meditations, and now here we are. There's got to be some order to this. There's got to be something else working here, that has brought us together, and brought this particular group of participants together. You have to understand that as well, that, you didn't just wind up here by happenstance. Something inside of you and inside of Amina, Masana, myself, and Nina has brought us together here to discuss this in order for us to go forward, and it's a powerful thing. And we are powerful as well, because we will generate that over and over again. And hopefully that vortices will carry us to what is accurate. Wherever we think about that we're in harmony with, and I don't know any of you, but there's something in you that is vibrating here across wherever you are in the world,
So pause for a moment, Clark, because I see you're on a wonderful trajectory there, and there's going to be more opportunities for dialogue. At this point, I'd like to specially thank you, Amina, Clark, and everyone who has responded either by vibration, attention, or said something. We are now going into 10 minutes where you can stand up and stretch. However, we're going to have a powerful video by Deepak Chopra and also a vocal song as well. So don't go away. It's 10 minutes and then we're going to go into breakout rooms. So enjoy this. However, do stand up and stretch as well. Okay, thank you.
And one of the best examples to look at collective transformation is the process in biology that is called metamorphosis, when something like a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. The two are quite different. A caterpillar is like a worm. A butterfly is a very magical creature with beautiful colors that flies. This is what happens. At a certain point in its development, a caterpillar becomes very greedy. It starts to consume more than it needs. And when its consumption exceeds its metabolic needs, the caterpillar's body starts to die. And it starts to liquefy. But within the body of the caterpillar, there are a few cells here and there that scientists refer to as the imaginal cells. Imaginal cells. Because these imaginal cells are dreaming a new reality, literally. These imaginal cells, they vibrate in a different frequency of consciousness. And when the caterpillar's body recognizes these imaginal cells, they attack them. The immune cells of the caterpillar, they attack the imaginal cells. But because the imaginal cells are vibrating at a different frequency, they remain immune to the onslaught. Soon the immune cells give up, a critical threshold, then something magical happens. A gene, a genetic code that has been lying dormant in the body of the caterpillar, it wakes up. And in that genetic code is the information for wings, is the information for a new heart, the information for antenna, the information for legs, the information for a new metabolic rate, because the metabolic rate of a flying creature has to be different from the metabolic rate of a worm. All that is coded in the gene. And the gene which was sleeping wakes up because of the connectivity of the imaginal cells. And as the rest of the body of the caterpillar starts to die, then the imaginal cells, they start to use the dying carcass of the caterpillar as their nutritive soup. And soon a butterfly emerges with the flight to freedom. You are the imaginal cells. So please start to imagine the new reality.
If everyone would like to sit comfortably, relaxed, and yet alert and aware, and take a few deep cleansing breaths, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Imagine you're breathing from the feet up through the legs, the abdomen, the chest to the top of the head, and allow the breath to cascade over the head down the back, creating a circular breath. And this is a meditation on connecting with your deepest self, your truest self, and with the divine. Home, sweet home. A place beyond, so silent and so full. A place beyond, no gravity, no pull, just being oh so quiet, so gentle on my own, yet every soul together, no feeling of alone. Fully in my own right, no influence, no force, being oh so quiet with myself and the source. No neediness, no greediness, no emptiness, no holes, just shiny, sparkling, beautiful, tiny, wonderful souls. Each so unique, yet so familiar. Pure energy. In every other all being so complete, yet different. Every soul connected in the divine, godly family. A world family of spiritual beings, connected through the one beyond, who has been given many names, God, Allah, Jah, the ocean of love, whose light so pure shines on each and every one of us. A light that soothes, that heals, and comforts, until we all evolve. We can all bathe in this light as a child with every right, until we all heal together as one and evolve, until we all go home to the place of peace and light and love and harmony. Om Shanti. I am a peaceful soul. Gently bring yourself back to the present moment, and yet allow that vibration that we have created together with the divine to perfume the atmosphere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Masana. Beautiful meditation, experiencing that stillness within the depths of silence and the connectedness of all souls. Beautiful. And I'd just like to thank Clark, Amina, and everyone. It's been such a wonderful event. I'm hoping that everyone has taken something very positive, something that they can use going forward.